In this video, we're going to dive deep into the Greek mythological creatures Scylla and Charybdis. We'll explain their origins, abilities, and any other intriguing tidbits about them. With introductions out the way, let's dive into it. Scylla, not to be confused with the Lenaean Hydra from the Heracles story. She is described by Homer as having 6 heads, each with 3 rows of teeth. She is also described as having 12 feet. Her waist is encircled by the heads of baying dogs, and she is said to devour anyone that ventures into her cave. However, in the Odyssey, she only took 6 members of Odysseus' crew, 1 for each head. Now that we know what she looks like, how did she come to be? Well, there are several explanations for this, so let's start with one of the more basic ones. In Ovid's Metamorphoses, books 13 and 14, she is described as originally having a human form before Circe got jealous of her and transformed her into that monster. This version of her origin explains that Glaucus fell in love with Scylla. Glaucus is a prophetic sea deity who was a mortal fisherman before he ate a magic herb and dove into the ocean to become a god. Anyway, back to Scylla. Scylla rejects Glaucus, which causes him to go to Circe to craft a love potion for him to give to Scylla. But Circe was in love with Glaucus and poisoned the water where Scylla bathed, which turned her into a monster. That is Scylla. Another less accepted version states that Scylla was the love of Poseidon, but Poseidon's wife, Amphitrite, didn't take too kindly to that and turned Scylla into a monster out of jealousy. Finally, her initial appearance in Greek mythology was in Homer's The Odyssey, which Homer states that she was born from Charybdis, the goddess of dangerous seas, and another god, which is possibly Triton or forces. Triton is the son of Poseidon and Amphitrite and is said to have control of the waves, and Forces is a primordial sea god. He represents the hidden dangers and untamed forces of the ocean depths. Hesiod, however, believes that Scylla's mother was Hecate, who is the goddess of magic, witchcraft, and the night, and the underworld. However, this version isn't widely accepted. All of these origins are strange because she is either just born a monster or, in typical Greek fashion, an innocent bystander punished for doing nothing. Most famous depiction is from her appearance in Homer's The Odyssey. In this story, she is said to have eaten 6 of Odysseus' crew members as they try to pass by her. A Roman story called Scylla and the Voyage of Aeneas. In this depiction, she is described as the counterpart to Charybdis, as some sort of monstrous duo. In that depiction, she is also described as having the body of a beautiful female with the legs being replaced by a dolphin tail, and a belly of a wolverine sword. Now, what about that other monster in the Strait of Messina? What was her name again? Oh, I remember now. Now on to Charybdis, which, like Scylla, is a female and has to be very difficult by having multiple different origins. One of which states that she is the child of Poseidon and Gaia. Gaia is the primordial goddess of the earth and is said to be the mother of everything. However, she has 2 more that are more transformation-based. One obscure version states that she tried to steal one of the cattle of Geryon after Heracles already captured them for his 12 labors. As punishments for this, Zeus transformed Charybdis into her new monstrous form. However, there is another one that states that she is a sea nymph, who was a child of Poseidon. Poseidon had gone to war against Zeus, and Zeus was angry that the nymph Charybdis was flooding lands in the name of Poseidon. So as revenge, he struck her with his thunderbolt that transformed her into a vicious sea monster. Now on to her description, which is hard to find, because no one really wrote down what she looked like under the water, because no one really survived. However, she was described as having a giant gaping jaw that drinks water in to create whirlpools before spitting it back out. Interestingly enough, she can only create these whirlpools 3 times a day, but her whirlpools and water vomiting could create so much damage that it would destroy ships and kill sailors. Story-wise, in the Odyssey, Circe advises Odysseus to completely avoid Charybdis, since she could mean total destruction, while Scylla would only take 6 men. This video was shorter than I expected it to be, So to account for that, here are some neat little facts about Scylla and Charybdis. For starters, the phrase between Scylla and Charybdis is an idiom that was the original version of between a rock and a hard place. These two also represent the inescapability of peril, since straying too far from one will lead you into the other. In Dante's Inferno, Charybdis is alluded to in the infernal seas, and in modern society they are also used to describe no-win scenarios. I really hope you all enjoyed this video. Sorry it was as short as it was, but with that out of the way, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.